Senator Cassidy.
Folks, I'll ask you to answer quickly just because I have limited time. Thank you. Mr. McNamee, following former Chairman McIntyre's confirmation to FERC, he initiated a review of the Commission's 1999 policy statement on the certification of natural gas infrastructure. My colleague sent the FERC a letter last month asking the Commission, quote, do no harm to their approval process. What are your thoughts on the current policy statement? Do you believe it's sufficient? If not, what areas do you think FERC should review?
I think the importance of building out our energy infrastructure is very important, which I think is part of the reason that Congress passed the Natural Gas Act. And obviously, with the non-conventional revolution, Senator Cruz has called the American Energy Renaissance Act, it's really transformed America and been a game changer in terms of our access to energy, not just being able to, for our own consumption, but changing how we use it throughout the world. And in terms of the specific policy statement, I know that that is currently under review, so I don't think it'd be appropriate to prejudge what various parties may have and may think about what that policy statement should ultimately be.
Any thoughts that, I accept that. Any other thoughts as to how the FERC regulatory review process could be, if you will, updated for the LNG operating facilities?
The one thing that's a perennial problem within government is the frustration over how permitting takes place, whether it's for LNG facilities, whether it's throughout government, and it's something I know that Congress has grappled with, things such as the FAST 41 and the President's one federal decision. I know that that in terms of the LNG facilities, that FERC recently signed an MOU with the Pipeline Safety Group over at the Department of Transportation in order to try and facilitate and make things move more quickly. And I think what's important is trying to make sure that you have the resources and the staff and that you're prioritizing what needs to be done. And in my past experiences, both in the Attorney General's offices, in particular, I understand that you got to make priorities. And so I need to look into specifics, but I do understand that making sure that projects aren't delayed for.
Well, let me ask you this, because one thing we've heard is that FERC has had challenges in attracting and retaining professionals. Somebody who's a great reviewer may get hired away far more. That suggests that either we could third-party it, a subcontract, or somehow have some other mechanism. Any thoughts on that?
I think one of the blessings of the American Energy Renaissance Act is that there's a lot of projects and there's a lot of good-paying jobs. I think that that, to your point, we need to look at all options and to see how we can make sure that projects aren't delayed because there isn't sufficient staff. And if I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed, I'll look into.
You smiled when I said that, suggesting to me that you actually know that to be an issue, the retention and the hiring of.
I think that it's an issue throughout, not just government, but you're seeing it now in the private sector too, which I guess the good news in all that is that wages are rising.
And the great Trump economy is fantastic, huh? You don't have to comment on that.
I'm political.
I think it seems self-evident. In July, Senator Cornyn and I led a letter to FERC expressing our concerns with the March 15, 2018 decision to disallow master limited partnerships from taking an income tax allowance in their rate calculations. It's a subject of litigation, I understand that, but I want to take this opportunity to reiterate my hope that FERC provide clarification at a minimum, if not reevaluate this decision altogether. And I'll follow up with a question for the record in more detail. Mr. Vela, critical question. In 2 weeks, LSU plays Texas A&M. Whom will you support?
Very good question, sir. Today, it's LSU.
Oh, my gosh, I'm all for it. Although I will doubt his veracity. Listen, going back to fees and how do we support, when Secretary Zinke was here, he said something I did not know, that if there's a whole van full of folks and one is a veteran, that the whole van full gets the benefit of the veteran being a veteran, that no one pays a park admission fee because the veteran does not pay. Now, I'm all for veterans getting their access, but it does seem if you have a bus or a van full of folks and only one's a veteran, it's the veteran who should get the benefit, not the whole van full. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think what we're clearly doing here, Senator, is clearly honoring the service by that veteran.
Which we should.
Absolutely, which you agree and support. I think when an individual goes through a national park, and pays the entrance fee, it's for all the occupants in that vehicle as well. So not everyone has to pay. So it's somewhat comparable, and it's just another means of recognizing the service of.
I'll say that my colleagues have supported this taking revenue from the Outer Continental Shelf to support the parks. I disagree with it because it's not free money. They're making it out as if it does not have to be offset elsewhere in the budget. It absolutely has to be offset elsewhere in the budget.
Correct.
And it is not true that it's free money. So I'll just make that statement. And if we're going to find the revenue someplace, it does seem that we need to look as what is an equitable distribution and how do we truly honor people. I'm over time. I yield back. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cassidy.